So we got 30 varieties of beer. I can't remember names, but I've done it for years.
Good afternoon, Rotary. Good. Microphone will be here in a little bit, but for now, Greg, would you mind doing our invocation?
Sure, that's fine.
Thank you.
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together. We'd like to know how we can serve others, and by networking we can often find needs that we can have an impact on. Father, bless this food for the nourishment of our bodies and us at our service. In His holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We do have a flag today. I've been instructed I have to hold it.
Go higher.
That's it. I still have to salute too. So, all right, ready? Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Y'all have your seat. Do we have any visiting Rotarians? No? I have to ask.
I've got a guest.
Got a what?
I've got a guest.
You got a guest? Yes, a guest will work as well.
All right, good.
Thank you.
You thought this was Rotarian, but
Visitors and or visiting Rotarians.
I have my brother Bob Yalper here with us today. Bob is retired. Just comes. He's relocated here from Atlanta, Georgia, or Peachtree, Georgia, and he's living here over near the cottages across from the old district office there.
Be sure to check in the Facebook. You know that already? So I appreciate the opportunity to do an induction today of one of our newest members of Rotary. And as Matt said, it is a red letter day for us here at the Rotary Club of Lawrence. So we are doing a corporate membership today, which will be a little bit different than normal. But we're going to ask Jennifer if you would come up front. And your sponsor is Terry. Terry's not here, so we'll have Amber come up as well. She'll be up here with you, and then we'll bring the rest of the corporate membership up in just a minute. Jennifer, you're about to become the newest member of the Rotary Club of Lawrence. The Rotarian who proposed you for membership paid you a great compliment. They saw in you those characteristics which would make a fine Rotarian. You've been approved by the responsible committees of the club, by the board, and by the members. So welcome to Rotary, Jennifer, where you will be called by your first name. As a club, we will stand before you to lead you into a new, great adventure in friendship and in service, to your vocation, your community, and to your fellow man. You are joining over 50 Rotarians in our club, over 1.2 million Rotarians in over 200 countries worldwide. All are business and professional people united by the common ideal of service. In 1905, Paul Harris, a young lawyer in Chicago, experiencing the loneliness of a newcomer to a big city, wanted to become acquainted with individuals and other businesses and professions. So on the evening of February the 23rd, 1905, he met with 3 friends to discuss his ideas. From this beginning, they invited others to meet with them and began to rotate the meetings among each other's offices. From this rotation came the name Rotary. Their number soon became too great to meet in each other's offices, and a luncheon club was first formed. So Jennifer, as a club, we speak from behind you to urge you forward in a new and great adventure, to become a Rotarian. First, there are things you must learn. Most important is the object of Rotary International, which is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise. Related to the ideal of service is our commitment to service above self and our belief that he profits most who serves best. And of course, the famous 4-way test of the things that we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? One of the most important philosophies of Rotary Fellowship is participation. And I'll say it again, participation, 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 which begins with regular attendance. We encourage you to make Rotary an important part of your week. Learn how to make up attendance by visiting other clubs and online and participating in club activities. To appreciate the broad scope of Rotary, we encourage you to attend district assemblies conferences, and if possible, an international arrangement. One of the special aspects of Rotary is our classification system, representing your vocation in the community. You alone this classification as a member of Rotary, and your actions, participation, and involvement will reflect on that classification. And when you're absent, your classification is missed. So Jennifer, your classification will obviously be healthcare. We stand beside you, Jennifer, representing the members of our club to walk with you in this new and great adventure. So as I mentioned a minute ago, this is a corporate membership. So this, again, is a little different for me today. So what we have in the corporate membership is that one representative that's the main Rotarian that is inducted, which is Jennifer. So this time I'll ask the other two members, which is Amy and Amber, if you guys will come up and join us. In the official paperwork and everything with Rotary, Jennifer is a member. She's the one that gets inducted. But Amy and Amber are also able to attend, and Jennifer is not. So we welcome Prisma as a corporate membership. So Amber, if you would mind giving Jennifer her pin. Jennifer, this is your lapel pin, and we encourage you to wear it proudly. With this pin, you can attend meetings of any Rotary club in the world. Every member is expected to perform his or her share of club and community service, and the committees of the club will afford you opportunities to give service. So for the rest of this Rotary year, we would be pleased if you would serve and participate on the Foundation Committee. At this time, I'm going to also ask the other members of the Rotary Club if you would please stand. Fellow Rotarians, I present to you Rotarian Jennifer and our Prisma corporate membership members Amy and Amber. And I charge you not to fail in your duty by giving your friendship and helping to make this membership useful and happy for them. Jennifer, Amy, and Amber, you have been accepted as our newest members. Each member is an experimental venture in service and the other high ideals of Rotary. The experiment starts now. You can become our greatest Rotarian. If you will take this step in Rotary, please step forward and let our members welcome you by a round of applause. We didn't tell you this ahead of time, but would you like to say anything to the club?
I am extremely happy about being here. Looking forward to the friendships and the service that I can help provide this community.
Thank you. Again, we are excited to have Jennifer, Amy, and Amber be participating in Prisma. You'll see them involved in a lot of our activities. You got your member packet. We'll get a name tag. We'll get a name tag like this, and then we'll get other name tags for the corporate members. And we have a few other members that we're getting name tags for as well. Those will all be here by next week. So we appreciate you, ABC. Thank you all.
Thank you, Matt. Well, it's a joy today to welcome to Rotary Club of Lawrence, the Reverend Dr. Buzz Wilcox. Buzz is a 2005 graduate of Presbyterian College, and he's now serving as the Lassiter Chaplain and Dean of Spiritual Life at PC. He just came to PC last summer after having served churches in Alabama and also in Greenville. So it's a joy to welcome him. And Buzz, we're anxious to hear about what's going on at PC these days. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation to be here. It's always an honor to speak in front of folks, but Rotary is for me a special honor. Rotary has been a part of my life in the last few years when I was the pastor of church in Mobile, Alabama. The first week I arrived at the church, I was informed by the chair of our stewardship committee that every senior pastor of Spring Hill Presbyterian Church had been a member of the Downtown Rotary Club, and so to let him know when I was ready to join. And so that became a special part of my life. We met on Thursdays as well for lunch, and really enjoy getting to know folks outside of my congregation, just as I know you get the chance to meet folks outside of your own business and profession. It's a wonderful gift. At Presbyterian College, it's also a great gift to be in front of you Rotarians, because you're all about service, and so is PC. Your motto, service above self, and Presbyterian College's motto, while we live, we serve, I think of as really just two sides of the same coin. Really, different versions of the same idea, the same truth, the same rooting our identity, not just individually, but collectively, communally, in a sense of service. I'm here today, though. Mike invited me a long time ago to come speak here with you. Actually, I got a call on Monday, I'm really glad to be here as well. PC is in the midst of a time of transition, and I can maybe speak to a little bit of that at the end, answer some questions you might have. But I'm going to talk a little bit about longer-term transition of what's coming up in the life of Presbyterian College in the months and years ahead. Basically, to share with you some of the broad brushstrokes that are part of our new strategic plan. This past October, we had a major event on campus where we launched our new strategic plan, and I brought y'all, they're there by the name tags, copies of this handout. This is a multi-page little flyer that has sections on each part of the plan. So my PowerPoint and this document go hand in hand. I'm not going to read to you everything that's on here, because if you're interested enough and want to take one home, you can do that yourself. But know that the presentation and the handout do interface together pretty well. So let me jump in, though, and not just assume that even though you're here in Lawrence County, everyone necessarily knows the story of Presbyterian College. How many of you, just for guessing sake, or how many folks here are Presbyterian College alumni? Or how many maybe paid tuition for a family member to go there that wasn't yourself? There we go. Great. Wonderful. So Presbyterian College was founded right here in Lawrence County in Clinton in 1880. And the brief story of our founding, which we actually tell over and over and over again, is a young minister, a South Carolina boy named William Plumer Jacobs, came to be the first installed pastor at First Presbyterian Church of Clinton. That pastor and that congregation had a heart for children who were suffering, in particular for orphans who had become orphans because of casualties in the American Civil War. And so they founded in 1875 Thornwell Orphanage, it was called, now Thornwell Home for Children, or sometimes just Thornwell. They founded that orphanage for children to have a home. Well, as the years went by, the first few years, they quickly realized that many of these students were exceptionally bright. They were ready to go to college, but there were no parents in the picture to pay tuition for these students to go. And so being the faithful and also adventurous folks that they were, they solved the problem by founding their own college right there on the grounds of the orphanage. And for the first few years, it flourished with a mixture of both children who were part of the Thornwell community as well as others who were coming and paying tuition. And the college grew and grew, and it outgrew the one building that they had on the orphanage. And so they made the decision to move all the way across the street and create the campus that we now know of as Presbyterian College, right there tied into Thornwell. I like to think the reason we tell that story over and over again at PC, right? Every college or university has some story of how it got started. Maybe it was people meeting in a room. Maybe it was a group of folks that decided they needed a state or a private or a church-related school somewhere. Every school has a story about its founding. At PC, we tell that story a lot because that narrative of our beginning is also part of our present and our future. So we're a place that was birthed by a community of faith and was brought into being for the purpose of serving. First, those orphans, and now serving our community in many other ways. Those elements of faith and service and learning, those sort of three pieces, continue to be who we are and what we're all about. So we've got this rich tradition, this rich history. And yet, like all institutions of higher ed, we're seeking to be relevant in the era of the Gen Z generation that is making their way to college. I'm not a sociologist. I can't go into all the details about this generation, but there's some things that are important to know about them, and one is that they are extremely service-oriented. They are the quintessential, we want to change the world, right? We don't just want to serve in the soup kitchen. We want to address the underlying problems of why folks are hungry in our community in the first place. Less orientation so far, it seems to be. Of course, they've got some growing and maturing to do, but it seems that this generation, by and large, is more interested in a sense of calling and vocation and a sense of value in the work that they do than just punching the clock, getting a paycheck, and finding other ways to find value. So the intersection of value and work is something that they are and will be learning. And it doesn't look the same way it has in other generations. They're making it their own. But we're seeking to be, with that rich, strong tradition of faith, learning, and service, a relevant place for students to come and learn. And so bringing together this history of what we've been and the immediate needs and challenges of higher ed in this rapidly shifting landscape and marketplace, really, of higher education, we have launched at PC into about a 1.5 year long process that completed this past fall of developing a new strategic plan. And so the tagline or the market position for this new strategic plan is that we are America's innovative service college, right? Our motto, as I mentioned earlier, while we live, we serve, has been there for decades and decades and decades. And now we're giving a new expression that's still rooted in that old idea of service, that we can't be everything to all people. What we are going to be is America's innovative service college. So let me read you the fuller market position. So this, if you're interested in seeing this text, the whole thing shows up here in the document. But this is our new description. There are 3 parts of it, so there are 3 different slides. Presbyterian College provides students of all faiths, identities, and backgrounds with a transformative education that equips them for impactful careers and empowers them to serve as powerful forces for positive community and world change. You hear some of those characteristics of what Gen Z students are interested in that market position. It continues. PC's distinctive approach uses innovative service as a tool of self-discovery, an amplifier of problem solving, and a catalyst of curiosity. And finally, a PC education offers students a real-life proving ground to practice the grace-driven art and science of changing lives. So that's what we're saying about who we are and what we're seeking to be, and where we're going to prioritize our energies in the years to come. How that gets fleshed out and lived out in the strategic plan happens in a few ways. The whole plan that gets into massively minute levels of detail that we won't get into today, but the whole plan is built on 3 main pillars. Interdisciplinary innovation, so that's mostly the sort of liberal arts academic side. Outrageous service, both beyond our walls to the community and in how we go about approaching service to our students, service to our fellow employees. And the third, which I'm really excited about, it's really the reason I'm here at PC as the chaplain and dean of spiritual life, is that we're carving out and claiming our identity as America's Presbyterian college. We'll talk a little bit later about what that means. So the strategic plan has these 3 main pillars, and then in addition to those 3 major pillars, there are 4 more emphases. I'm going to briefly talk through all 7 of these. So the other 4 are nonprofit and service entrepreneurship, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and then the launch of 2 exciting new programs, the Jacob Scholars Program and the Center for South Korean and East Asian Studies. So briefly, I'm going to talk through all 7 of these. These really, what happened over the course of the last 1.5 years is that everyone in the college constituency, that's students, faculty, staff, trustees, alumni, got pulled in based on their own interests. People got to self-select which group they wanted to be in. And these 7 programs turned into 7 different working groups. Each one was co-chaired by leaders of the college's administration, but they included that diverse mix of students, faculty, staff, alumni, trustees. Each group produced their own report, writing in their own language what they were going to be doing in the years ahead, and then all 7 of them were woven together into this overarching strategic plan as America's Innovative Service College. I was one of the co-chairs of Group 3, the one that focused on our church relationships. I'm going to walk through each of these, and I'm not going to read you all the details, but here the broad brushstrokes. The first initiative, focusing on interdisciplinary innovation. PC is a liberal arts education, which means you're exposed to a wide variety of different fields, different areas of study. You still, of course, have majors, and many of our students double major or have 2 or 3 or even 4 minors these days. It blows my mind what they're interested in and how what might seem different areas, how they're intersecting all of these together. Our 2 biggest majors, in case you're interested in knowing, are biology and business. Many of our students go on with a biology degree into some further study in health sciences, whether it's med school, dental school, physician's assistants, nursing school, pharmacy school. We house some of those graduate health science programs as well. And then business is our second largest major. Well, what's interesting, statistically, more students come to PC saying they're going to major in business, but more graduates actually as biology majors. So I don't know what happens there in the middle, how you make that shift. Maybe some of the business-minded folks realize there's good business in medicine as well. Who knows? So what we're doing though now, right, with this strong tradition of liberal arts, the idea is we want to create a PC education still just as strong academically, but also with new flexibility around how the curriculum works for students. Some students are coming to PC and many other colleges these days with a lot of credits already through the AP program, Advanced Placement, or the IB, International Baccalaureate, or other programs. Some high school students are able to go ahead and enroll and receive college credit. So they're coming to PC with classes already shaved off of what they have to do. But we also have more and more students that are taking a look at the cost of higher ed and deciding if it takes 4 years to graduate, is it worth the financial investment? So we're creating a new program called PC Flex, where not all but most of our majors eventually will be developed so that if students want to come to PC and graduate in 3 years rather than 4, they'll be able to do so. We're not pushing that. We're not saying that becomes our new norm, but rather than saying if you have to do it in 4 years, we're going to create opportunities where you can, still with the same number of hours required and the same number of course credits. It's just a different, sometimes just in sequencing, right? Do you have to take these 4 courses in this order, or can we offer more flexibility there? So that, any of you who have paid college tuition for someone in your family know, if that 4th year of college, instead of being an expense year, becomes an income year, that's a big difference, right? Not only for these students, but for their families, as well as for the workforce that's going to be employing these folks when they graduate. So that's one of the big pieces we're doing. Some others include some really strategic partnerships with graduate schools, whereby a student could graduate from PC and a master's program in some leading other institutions in a short amount of time, where perhaps their 4th year of undergrad might also be their 1st year of a master's degree. We're developing these kind of streamlined programs with a number of exciting partners. One of those, in fact, even sort of the other side of that is a robust scholarship program through Piedmont Tech, right here in our area, right? There are many students who finish 2 years at Piedmont Tech who then go on to complete a bachelor's degree at another institution. What we're saying is, if you come to PC, there's going to be a robust scholarship program to encourage those students, particularly from right here in Lawrence County, to stay in Lawrence County for the rest of their college education if they come to PC. All right, the second big pillar of the plan is outrageous service. And this, again, you can read all the details in this. The idea is that we're doubling down on our motto, on our identity, on the service we provide externally to the community, as well as the approach to a service-minded way of dealing with students' needs, as well as faculty and staff members' needs as well. Our goal is to be listed as one of the best places to work in South Carolina in the coming years because of some intentional HR decisions we're going to be making, as well as finding ways where we can just clump together some services. So for instance, this is just a minute example, but there's some important work in the annual cycle of financial aid that happens. Our new director of financial aid has decided, rather than forcing students who have to all sign these forms to come to the administration building, she's going every Friday this month and setting up a booth in the middle of the student center, right? So that she's there, she's interacting with them, she's sharing a sandwich or a cup of coffee and able to talk and interact. And she's also taking a service-minded approach to what we might call customer service approach to something that could be a pretty boring part of a college experience and go meet with the financial aid officer. So little things like that. Some big things as well as it relates to outward-facing community service. We had this year during our freshman orientation a group, all of the incoming freshman class, as well as other upperclassmen as well, a group of around 300 of our students who all came together as a service project in the fellowship hall of First Presbyterian Church in Clinton to participate in a really exciting program called Rise Against Hunger. This is a picture of them packaging food bags. That one day, in the span of about an hour, they and some of the members of the congregation were able to package over 15,000 bags of food that will be distributed domestically and internationally following disasters where folks aren't able to access it. There are also, though, some facilities that are part of this approach to outward-facing service. So PC owns property in downtown Clinton that, as we speak, is finishing being renovated into what's going to be both a restaurant space as well as a student space. Some of you may know right here in Lawrence, the Capitol Theater and some of the work that's happening there. Later in March, there's going to be a ribbon-cutting ceremony, I think with the Chamber of Commerce as well, for one part of that renovation that is happening related to e-sports arena that we're going to be hosting. Speaking of the Chamber, someone else mentioned it already. Tonight, the Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce at Presbyterian College's campus, looking forward to hosting you. Payback will be hosting me today. We also have purchased a trolley, if you haven't heard this news. So this is a trolley that's actually initially starting with our students in mind, but eventually the plan is to grow this as a transportation option for our campus, downtown Clinton, and downtown Lawrence, and perhaps a few other sites as well, but to be able to have not only an affordable and accessible way to get transportation, but also a fun way to get on the trolley and take a ride. The third, and I'll be brief on this because this is the one I could talk for 2 hours about, and you don't want a preacher without a script who keeps talking. But we are leaning very heavily into emphasizing our relationship as a church-related college. There have been periods of time in PC's history where our relationship with the church has been less emphasized. We are in a time of deep emphasis on that. And that looks like a number of things. One that I'm most excited about, we've unveiled this fall a new scholarship program called the Presbyterian Promise. The idea is simple. Any Presbyterian in the country who comes to PC as a student is guaranteed a scholarship of at least $20,000 a year, $80,000 over all 4 years, if they come for 4 years. You got to remember, we're also making it flexible. It may not take that long. That's a big deal. That's us sort of staking a claim. In no way are we excluding folks that aren't Presbyterian. Remember, we started by saying PC is a place where folks of all faiths, identities, and backgrounds can thrive. But we're also saying if we're founded and we stand for something, we need to put our money where our mouth is in terms of scholarship and making that available. Part of this also includes some strategic partnerships with Presbyterian institutions, with church-related bodies. So we have entered into a partnership with Camp Fellowship on Lake Greenwood, and we created an MOU with them whereby we're able to take advantage of the spaces and the people in both communities to work towards working together. We also, PC's Pharmacy has unveiled a new scholarship program for any graduate from a Presbyterian college or university around the country. Gets a unique scholarship program if they come to our pharmacy school. So this is pretty exciting as well. And then a third, I don't know if any of you in your work, if you're in nonprofit work or anything related to fundraising from a faith-based perspective, but PC has partnered with the leading, go through these quick, oh, it's not in there, okay. Oh, no, it's a different slide, never mind, we'll get to it in a second. This is the first time I've given this presentation. This is, so I'll take any critique after it's over. The fourth big theme is nonprofit and service entrepreneurship. If we are rooted in service and we're seeking to be the innovative service college, this means we're seeking to recruit students, the kinds of students that when they grow up and graduate make outstanding Rotarians. We're trying to recruit those kinds of students as our incoming students. And so one of the ways we've done that is launched a service entrepreneurship competition. The idea is similar, if you're familiar with the Shark Tank show, right, where you make a business pitch. It's sort of the nonprofit version of that. So students are making a pitch to a panel of judges. These are high school seniors who are applying to come to PC, making their pitches for revolutionary programs that could transform an important need in their community. And whoever's got the best plan gets a full ride scholarship to PC. Second place is also a pretty significant one. Last year we launched it more regionally, just for the state of South Carolina. And the full ride scholarships, a young woman named Maggie, who had a family member who went through a medical situation that required in their rural community a family member who had to access medical equipment that was difficult to come by. Now, they were in a financial situation where they were able to track down and pay for this equipment, but she realized that in rural communities, that's not always realistic. It's not always affordable and accessible. And so this young woman, as an 18-year-old senior in high school, founded her own nonprofit. She is the CEO of a 501c3 focused on access to health equipment in rural communities in the South. And she got a full ride to come to PC because of that vision for innovative service. Right? Those are the kinds of students we're looking for. This year, we've expanded that competition not just to students from the state of South Carolina, but nationwide. As far as we know, we are the only, and therefore first, program like this in the country that's giving full ride scholarships for service entrepreneurship plans and programs. Those students are going to be on our campus not this weekend, but next weekend, having that competition. So down the road, I think they've gotten all the judges this year, but you may, as a Rotarian, you may get a phone call from our Vice President for Enrollment asking you to be one of the judges in the future year. You've got a heart for service, and it would be great for that. The other is an exciting program that we have launched with the nation's leading school for faith-based fundraising, or stewardship, we might call it in our churches. This is the Lake Institute on Faith and Giving, which is part of the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy at Indiana University. They house a program called the Executive Certificate in Religious Fundraising. I've taken this program, and the idea is it is both practical and theoretical education, certificate level education, not a class you're taking for credit, to train folks in the art and science of fundraising from a faith perspective. The way that program works is you fly up to Indiana, and you're there on their campus for 2 days, and then there are a few more courses that you take in the following weeks. Well, that might be accessible for some folks, but not for everybody. So we partnered with them, and for the first time ever, we're hosting that certificate program here in South Carolina. The first time they've ever hosted it in the Southeast, and through our partnership at Presbyterian College. So if any of you, through either your church or nonprofit or your work, are interested in enrolling in that, it's this coming May, And I'd love to talk to you later after the course about how you can get online and register for that. It'd be a great investment for your church or for your local business. The third, I'm losing count now, I think this is maybe the sixth program. Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. PC has hired its first ever vice president for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. Her name is Dr. Selena Blair. She'll be a wonderful speaker for you some other time as well. And she has launched some really exciting initiatives at PC. One big one is the Presby First program. This is for first-generation college students. So not only scholarship programs, but also support structures within our campus and trainings for our faculty and staff for how they can best meet the needs and support first-generation college students. We took some pictures on the white coat ceremony. For one of these groups is our incoming occupational therapist. I think on the bottom and the top is our incoming pharmacy students. This is not the entire class for either. This is every one of these graduate students who were first-generation undergrad students. That is, the first in their family to ever attend college. So think about that. These are folks who now, these folks on the top, they're getting their doctorate degree in pharmacy. And they're the first person in their family to have attended college, wherever they went to undergrad. Some of them came from PC's undergrad, now are in pharmacy school, but they're all with us now. So it's a reminder as well, first-generation college students are not just undergrad students, not just associate's degree students, they're also master's and doctoral degree students. And so those needs have to continue to mold and emerge through the program. Briefly, I'll end with these last two. The Jacob Scholars Program. This harkens all the way back to our founding. That young pastor from South Carolina that founded Thornwell Orphanage and then founded Presbyterian College, William Plumer Jacobs. We've named a new scholarship program after him, which is becoming the premier program in the nation for students who have been affected by foster care in their upbringing, who then are attending college. So the deal is we're going to help these students get a full ride to college if they come to PC. We help them do all the different federal and state applications, as well as other scholarship programs. And in the end, whatever is left to cover the gap, PC is scholarshiping the remainder of that. The Jacob Scholar Program is going to be a significant, I think, transformative scholarship initiative for us here at PC, going all the way back to those roots and our connection to the Thornwell Orphanage. And the last, briefly, is we're launching a new Center for South Korean and East Asian Studies. This is both about recruiting students to come from South Korea who want to attend school in America, that we want to be a preferred school of choice for many of those students. Also, it's exchange programs where we can send our students there both for semesters abroad as well as for summer programs, working in business in Korean-owned organizations. So this is a really exciting program. Soon we'll be teaching Korean language as one of our modern foreign language offerings, and we'll be having a robust international exchange program as well as internship opportunities with these Korean-owned businesses. I was able to be a part of the delegation that went back in December to visit South Korea. We met with students. We had actually 5 students from one Christian private school that have already applied and been accepted to PC for next year's incoming class. We were also interviewed by some national news media while we were there, one that we planned and one that we were surprised by. So free press is always good most of the time. And so we were excited to have that while we were there. So that tells you maybe more than you want to know, but I hope that everyone in the room heard at least something that intersects with your work, with your life, and your vocation, with your service-mindedness about what we're doing at PC and how it can make an immediate impact and a long-term impact with our friends and neighbors, especially right here in Martinsville. I've got time for questions, but I don't know what your time frame is. I'll be sure to end on time for y'all's time. Okay.
Does South Carolina still have that law that you have to be 20 years old in a professional school?
You know, I'm not certain about professional school programs.
But do your graduates have to be 20 years old before they can get into professional school?
They have to be 20 years old before they can get into a professional school. I'm not certain. And I'm guessing in asking that, do you think it's especially some of our master's program, or our graduate programs, pharmacy, physician's assistants, and occupational therapy? I don't know if there's an age limit on that or not. I've got some learning to do. But I'm sure someone at PC could tell you that answer immediately. The chaplain's not that one. Yes?
What's the enrollment pharmacy school now? Enrollment pharmacy school, you know?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers. I know it's not what we need it to be. So right now, physician's assistants and occupational therapy, those two graduate programs are waitlisted to get in. They're full to the brim. They're doing great. Our pharmacy program, as there have been shifts in the market broadly in terms of the number of folks going into pharmacy, every pharmacy school around the country is seeing decreased numbers, and we're in the midst of that as well. So we're figuring that out. Right now, it's more than half of full capacity, but it's not near where it needs to be. So I think we're looking at some new ideas, and including, you heard me say, we're offering a scholarship to the pharmacy program for any graduates in other Presbyterian colleges around the country. That's the only scholarship program we have for pharmacy students. So we're trying to address that. We're also discovered on that initial visit to Korea that it's extremely difficult to get into pharmacy school in South Korea. And so as we form some partnerships with some other colleges and universities there, preferred admission for some of those folks to come to our program here might actually be a really great kind of intersection.
Why the downturn, you know?
If you know a pharmacist, ask them why less people are going into pharmacy today.
When they built the school, it was massive.
Oh, yeah.
It was full to the brim.
Right, it was. And then pre-COVID, there was beginning to be some shifts nationwide, and the pandemic was not friendly to pharmacists around the country. Yeah. Other thoughts or questions? Let me answer one I thought someone might ask, and that is, if you haven't heard the news, our college president, who was a major part of launching these massive initiatives, has announced that at the end of this academic year, he's going to be leaving to go be the president of another school up in the Midwest. And so the question Ohio Wesleyan University, that's right. We get a lot of questions about that, and what does it mean for all of these initiatives? So I wanted to tell you all about all these programs before you asked that question if you had it, because a lot of this energy, or the spark that lit some of these fires, did come from the energy of our new president. He also, though, was the one who led this year-and-a-half-long strategic planning process where everyone was gathered into these 7 groups, and then he backed out and let those groups do the work of the community. So the board of trustees at PC unanimously endorsed this as their strategic plan. And then at the same meeting where they learned that the president was going to be leaving, they reiterated their unanimous endorsement of this plan. So these initiatives, these programs, this energy is continuing and is actually going to be a major part of the search process for the next president. I'm serving on that search committee, and we're already up and running and are planning to have someone identified by this summer who can step in with hopefully very little, if any, gap in leadership. But we're not looking for someone to come and hit restart. We're looking for someone to come and take this good work that the community of the college has done and carry it into the next chapter and help make it their own. So we do feel really positive about this energy continuing because it's rooted in this plan, not just in one person's great ideas. So that's the question I thought. Thank y'all for not leading with that. I thought that was going to be the first question. Thank y'all.
Thank you guys for coming and for sharing with us a little bit about PC. I think probably each and every one of us, even if we were super familiar, probably learned a little something new today. So I appreciate the information. And I'm sure you'll probably stay up here for just a little bit if anybody didn't want to ask a question in front of anyone, or you tell us something after. So again, thank y'all for that. I want to say thank you, Bob, for coming today. Appreciate you tagging along, and you playing the gym. Appreciate that. Also want to say thank you, Jennifer, congratulations, and thank you, Amy and Amber, for being here as well, and y'all being a part of our club. If you'll stand
Is it fair to all concerned for the goodwill of